estate agents don't work for you. They actually are trying to screw you to get their client, the seller, the highest price.
Being first to the market in most things is not typically a great idea. The fact that you guys weren't the very first to the market, what were some of the things that you felt others were doing that then you decided to improve on to actually make your offer a success?
Number one, you got to be I was terrible at sales. I'd never run a business and I hadn't worked in traditional real estate. And here I am starting a buyer's agent business where no one knows what a buyer's agent is.
Give us a bit of insight into what your day-to-day kind of looks like now, and how are you experiencing the world now as in a different way to what you used to?
First step was like,
if you're going in for information, you're losing already. The information happens to be a part of it, but I want to implement quickly and get executing so I can learn through the wall. How do I get the business up and running, testing, get the sales team in place, that kind of stuff? There's literally no excuse today to being stuck. If you don't have something in your life, it's purely simply because you don't want it enough. What do you feel holds people back then from being able to achieve that?
I think
What were some of the things that you took into consideration when building it that you feel made it a success? My guest today is Ben Handler, founder of Buyer's Agent Institute and one of the few people in Australian property who has actually built the thing he now teaches. He was made redundant from a corporate career, which turned out to be the starting gun for everything that actually followed. Now, over the last decade, he's built 5 companies, exited one, bootstrapped multiple 8-figure businesses from scratch, and helped 36 founders launch 7-figure careers, all inside the buyer's agent space. He built Australia's largest buyer's agent business from the ground up, then built the fastest growing online education platform for buyer's agents on top of that. Now, Ben has worked across services and product businesses. He's navigated the full arc from operator to founder to educator, and the community he's built at the Buyer's Agent Institute has become generally unlike anything else in the industry, with over 5,000 students inside it. Now, outside of business, he's 11 years sober. He traded the life of the city for a slower environment. And by his own account, building a life with his wife, Rachel, sits at the top of the list of best decisions he's ever made. Ben, welcome to the Freedom Formula podcast. So you weren't always doing what you're doing right now, which is leading businesses and scaling in the digital space. What did you start off doing?
before my first business.
As your first business?
As the first business. So first business was a service-based business. I started a business called Cohen Handler. It wasn't the first buyer's agency. It was like maybe the third or fourth. And at that stage, like in Australia, like the term buyer's agent, no one knew what it was at all, like zero. I didn't know one person. I didn't meet one person who actually understood the term buyer's agent. And so that idea was originated in California. I was in California. I just left the corporate world and I met my former business partner there, and we were just like thinking about ideas, and we thought, fuck, like in the USA, like 84% of people use a buyer's agent.
So common.
So common. Like it's what they all do. And then we looked back in Australia and we're like, no one uses one. But then we looked in the US, and what was wrong with the US, right, was if you go to the US now and you want to buy a house, like you went there today to LA, you could get a buyer's agent for free. The seller pays a fee, which goes to the real estate agent and the buyer's agent.
Okay.
So the buyer's agent gets paid from the seller if a buyer's agent's involved in the transaction. So let's say it's 5% comm, and there's an real estate agent and a buyer's agent involved, because there's not always a buyer's agent. But let's say there's a buyer's agent and a real estate agent. It gets split 2.5 each from the seller.
Wow.
So we thought, like, that's not right. Like, the buyer's agent should be getting paid by the buyer. So we went back to Australia.
Because of a bit of a conflict of interest in a sense.
I think so. I think, like, if you're getting paid by the seller, who are you representing? Like,
yeah.
So we then launched Cohen Handler in Sydney and validated the model pretty quickly, and then just blew it up.
Yeah, wow. And what does blew it up actually mean?
Oh, we bootstrapped that business. We grew really fast. We got to 8 figures. I'm a bit biased. I think we revolutionized the industry in Australia. Like the term, not everyone still knows what a buyer's agent is. It's very niche, but we created the most noise. We were buying, homes up to $50 million, and we did a lot of cool stuff.
Mm. Being first to the market in most things is not typically a great idea. The fact that you were able to recognize an opportunity early. You said you guys weren't the very first to the market. What were some of the things that you felt others were doing that then you decided to improve on to actually make your offer a success?
So when I say I'm not number one, like a lot of people think that we were the first, like Cohen Handler, we were the first. And so I always like to clarify, like we weren't. But to answer that question is, everything would look like shit to us. So when I looked at the industry, I was like, there's like 4 players that no one knows who they are. No one knows what a buyer's agent is. So they're failing at what they do. So we didn't want to look at anyone in our industry. I didn't want to look at anyone in our industry to be like,
as the benchmark.
Yeah, I was like, this benchmark's fucking terrible. Like, I don't want to use this. So I actually went to different industries. I looked at what was happening in technology. For example, like the sales process that I brought into Cohen Handler, I learned from the technology industry. I learned the best B2B selling tactics that train LinkedIn, that train Google. I learned a framework. I got trained. And so I actually went to different industries and picked up different things and then like basically brought it together, consolidated, and off I went.
And that was part of how it sort of kicked off. How long did you run that for?
9 years. You know what's interesting though? So when I started Cohen Handler, I'd never sold, no sales experience. Like my business partner used to kick me in the shins. I used to go to meetings, like prospect meetings, and I was so bad at sales, like talking too much, just saying stupid shit. So like I was terrible at sales. I'd never run a business. And I hadn't worked in traditional real estate. And here I am starting a buyer's agent business where no one knows what a fucking buyer's agent is, right? And so you could look at my scorecard and you'd be like, this dude's going to fail, right? And I guess it was just, I'm kind of like going off track here and like I'm kind of dissecting, but my belief in what I was doing in terms of like giving buyers representation, the conviction was so strong. Like, you'd have to kill me to stop it. And so I think that conviction is what got me through.
Isn't that interesting? I would say conviction is probably the most important thing when it comes to sales. And I love the fact that you came with no experience.
Oh yeah.
You acknowledge that you sucked.
Yeah.
And on the scorecard, as you say, were probably the most likely to fail, but yet there you were with absolute conviction on A, the offer, B, the result that it would deliver for clients. And so therefore, you win. Maybe walk us through some of the ways in which you went about things from that point to continue to refine the skill and build a process to be able to win, because eventually, you got to stop playing the luck game and at some point you've got a process that's working. What were some of those things that if you could rewind and go back to?
Well, first step was we had to validate the offer, right? And first client was actually a guy that I knew. I like went outbound to him and just said, hey dude, like
pitch the idea.
Very wealthy guy in the East, developer, buys a lot of properties for his children and stuff. So I called him up. His name was Curtis. I said, hey man, I want to talk you through what we're doing. So we went to his office in Bondi Junction, I remember. And I was honest. I said, hey man, like we're new to this. Like you're our first client, prospective client. And we believe like this is a service offering that all buyers need for these reasons. And we kind of talked a lot from our why, like very much like versus like I'm a buyer's agent. I was talking about like why I'd started the business, why I believe someone like him needed the service, why it was such an important service. So I was communicating a lot from why. That's what actually got me through versus like I'm a buyer's agent. I source property for you. I know all that type of service-based stuff. I was talking more like why I'm here.
Which leans into the problem.
Yeah, which leans, and also they start to understand like they trust me, I think.
Absolutely, because you're leaning into the problem.
So I would say first step was like getting to an understanding that talking from the why was getting me business. Like, I know it might sound really basic. But
it's not, it's actually brilliant.
Yeah, it's what we just naturally started to do because we had so much conviction around the offer that I think that's why we started to validate very quickly. Because if I walked into you like and just said, hey, I'm a buyer's agent, like we source property, we negotiate property, we do due diligence. It's like yawn, like I'm like, what the fuck's a buyer's agent? Like people are switching off. But we were actually talking to them about a problem that a lot of them didn't know exists. Like for example, I'd say, hey, do you know like real estate agents don't work for you? People actually didn't stop and went, oh yeah. I'm like, they actually are trying to screw you to get their client, the seller, the highest price. That's what they do. They are screwing you all day, and they're great at doing it. And so like when I started to like bring awareness to some of these things for people, it was like light bulbs you could like they were
You
shining.
see it
Like,
going off.
I was like, well, I'm here to represent you. And so when I started bridging that education gap and really diving into it and layering into it, that's what I started to see as a pattern of the success implementation for us to kind of get ahead. So we kept basically amplifying that, multiplying that, getting our customers to then provide testimonials to talk about those problems and then promoting that. We sold a lot through the customer, a lot. Like that was the progression. We started to, it was a big education gap we had to kind of like bridge. And then we started selling very quickly through the customer.
One of the challenges in any offer is validating it.
Yep.
Definitely. Particularly when the awareness around the problem doesn't exist. If it's something very
Yeah.
new and it's a little, maybe for lack of a better way to explain, a little abstract, where they're trying to understand it. I think how you leaned into it was brilliant though. By identifying the thing they did understand and positioning the us versus them, that is brilliant. In other words, the thing they did understand was the real estate agent.
Yeah.
Do you actually know that the real estate agent doesn't work for you? And that's just brilliant. That's mind-blowingly brilliant.
People, I swear, I've sat in front of thousands of people over that. It's like very, very high net worth individuals as well, right?
Yeah.
They never comprehended
They
that.
hadn't actually taken a moment to consider that.
You should see them, they go, because like most buyers, when you've been like, I've been in real estate a long time, like most buyers will go up to a property to buy, they tell the real estate agent everything. Oh, this is what we're looking for. This is our budget. Like they reveal and the real estate agent's going like, thank you. I'm going to screw this, you know? So they're just very naive, no idea. Like even we used to throw a lot of questions at the prospects, like how long you been looking? And then hypothetically, if we were in a situation, you might say 6 months. And I'd be like, fuck, 6 months. Did you go to Spain? Like, have you been away for 5 months? Like, what are you doing? So they thought in their world that 6 months was a good amount of time. I was then bringing awareness to say that is just ridiculous.
Why is it ridiculous for you in your mind?
Because we would execute a lot quicker than that. It would be like, depending on if it's investment or own a rock, but like 5-6 weeks.
Is it due to the opportunity cost? In other words, the longer you're out of the market, things continue to move as well?
Yeah. Yep. And also, that if the market's going up 100%, like it can go up 10% a month when the market's flying. But it comes down to also real estate agent relationships. Like we had these incredible relationships with the agents where they'd call us and say, hey man, no one knows this. They're getting separated. Like if you give us this price, we'll do a deal. They're not telling other buyers that.
It's an absolute no-brainer when I hear you explain the buyer's agent scenario for someone that's got money, that's a little time poor. They're probably got information overload in their own life, in their own business. The last thing they need to be doing is doing deep research on the property, the market, areas, states, comparing that then against all the other factors that influence price. To be able to have someone in their corner, it's a no-brainer. What an incredible offer at an incredible time. So where did it peak? So you were in that for about 9 years, actually running the buyer's agency yourself.
Yes. So I was a buyer's agent for like the first 4 years.
You were doing the heavy lifting as well?
I was like, you'd come to me with a brief and I was kind of like, we were in that stage where we had like maybe like 15 people, but I was still a buyer's agent. After about year 4 or 5, I was like, hey, I started to realize I got a really good skill set in business, like strategy, building team, I'd say more at a high level operational standpoint. So I then stepped out and I started running the business. And then we grew probably to about 75 staff, offices all across Australia. And I was the CEO, I was running the business.
And at some point, did you exit? What happened with that particular business?
So 2018, I was in San Francisco. I was on the phone to one of my business coaches, Simon Reynolds at the time. And I was like, hey man, like there's not a lot of buyer's agents in Australia. Like we want more competition, and B, I want to like ramp up recruitment. And so
why did you feel competition was important? Just so I understand.
Because consumer awareness was like, no one still knew what a buyer's agent was.
Right. So awareness of the industry was still low.
Yeah. Like I felt like we needed more buyer's agents to create more awareness. And it was just still like, no one knew what one was. In the eastern suburbs in Sydney, everyone did. Outside of that, no one. And so I was on the phone with him. I was on a coaching call. I remember I was on the bed in the hotel, and he said, "Hey, there's this guy called Sam Ovens. He runs. He's a business partner with Hormozy on school.com. At the time, he had a company called consulting.com. He's like, hey, like he tells people, he teaches people like how to wrap up things that they know knowledge into like an online course and sell it. And I was like, fuck, that sounds interesting. And he says, like, why don't you go through the program, have a look at what he teaches, and see if you can wrap up what you're doing and create more by. And I was like, interesting. So I just went and executed really quickly. And about 4 months after that, I started the Buyer's Agent Institute while I was at Cohen Handler.
Did you buy the course as well, like to go through it, experience it?
Yeah, sorry. I went through this. Yeah, I paid for the Sam Ovens, went through it, and was like, man, this is brilliant. Like, because like I love business. I was like, I'm in a service-based business, which I'm in offices. We got all, like, this is a business I can just plug into a learning management, an LMS, run ads, and I can start selling it, right? And so I was just like, oh my God. So started the Buyer's Agent Institute in 2018, like started doing pretty well pretty quickly. Like just because I think I was a authority in the industry. I had a lot of track record and it was just so easy for me. Like I just knew how to do it. So
Dr. Water, mate.
It felt just very like effortless. And so I remember I recorded that course. Like I was renovating a place in Woollahra and I didn't have aircon in the place and I was recording the first course. I was in my undies with a microphone on my bed and I'm kneeling down and just like talking to a microphone on my bed with a laptop here, just going like, just talking over slides. That's how I like went to market or my go to market. And then
have you since upgraded the content?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to double check.
yeah. But that's how I and then I paid for Kajabi at the time, which was a bit like bit of a rip off then, but $300. I started with like very low money and started getting to 30K months pretty quick. And then it was that point.
What was the offer price at that point?
It was so low. It was like $4 or $5 grand.
Yeah. What year was this?
That was 2018.
Yeah. Okay.
It's now 12.
So just at the turn of all the digital boom and opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
nice.
just on another point, like I was actually speaking to a lady, a friend of mine. She's about to run an online program. And one of the lessons I learned, I said, hey, don't start so low on price. I said, I've got 5,500 students. I charge 12 now, minimum 12. That's at lower end. And I said, like, I was charging 5 for so long. Like if I was charging 12 or something higher from the beginning, like it all adds up and compounds. So that's another note. But around pricing, pricing correctly up front, because I could have charged higher. I started to have there was a bit of a relationship breakdown with my co-founder and we were basically just outgrowing each other. We had different ideas of vision. We were misaligned. So when I had the Buyer's Agent Institute, it was an easy decision for me to sell out and exit the company. So like that was my kind of vehicle to plug out of that chapter of my life. So I exited that business and went full-time into the Buyer's Agent Institute, which was an online e-learning company.
Getting something together like that would be very exciting, given obviously you're just also packaging up your entire experience from your previous journey. What were maybe some of the things that you took into consideration when building it that you feel made it a success?
I think it's just a very good offer, right? Like number
It's
one,
an
and what I mean by a
incredible
good
offer.
offer is like, like minimum fees for a buyer's agent, like minimum, it's like 15 grand, and you can get that paid in full. You can do retainers 5, or you can do half and half, 7.5 up front, 7.5 on exchange or settlement whenever you do it. So like, the remuneration is sexy, right? Like we were taking fees at Cohen Handler. Our minimum, like our average, I think was 35, 40,000. That was, again, we're doing owner occ mainly. And so, but if you're doing investment only, so the remuneration was sexy. That helped me. And I think number 2, everyone loves property in Australia.
Yeah, it's like a religion. It's like a fucking religion.
Everyone loves
know
it.
everyone gets their rocks off when they're buying a property.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
number 3.
It's a status play too for us Australians more than I would say most other
Yes,
parts of the world.
it is. Big status. Number 3, I would say, is I think it was just timing, right? Like no one really knew what a buyer's agent was. I was running ads saying this is a career, this is a biz op, this is a career opportunity. This is what you can earn. And I was bringing it to light of what you can do to the market. And people were like frothing. Like, I didn't know what this is. I didn't know you could earn this. I didn't know you could run your business like this. Like people just, there was no awareness. So I brought it to life.
Yeah, brilliant. The industry definitely has now become more popular, and there are some individuals that I can think of when I think about buyers agencies that are doing extremely well. Who are some of the elite in the space now that you're either been a part of, or you can just see what they're doing?
I mean, I've created a lot of them.
I would imagine
like a lot of them have not come through me, but like
even indirectly, I would imagine if you were so early to the stage, I would imagine that even the guys maybe that you weren't directly involved with have been incredibly impacted by the early work that you did and the opportunity you created.
Yes, yeah. Like Jack Henderson, who you've probably seen online
all the time.
Yeah,
he's
so
everywhere.
Jack,
he's brilliant.
So my first year with
Have you seen some of his ads, bro?
Yeah, he's the best.
They're fucking hilarious. He had this ad the other day. He said, "This is a piece of cow shit, and this is equivalent to what you're buying when you X, Y, and Z." I just thought, like, what an incredible pattern interrupt.
Oh yeah, he's sharp, and so I'll tell you what I love. I think it was in the first year in 18 when I started the Institute, I was doing some of the sales calls because I was like, so Cohen Handler was very fresh, like blue ocean. This was another blue ocean. Like, but Buyer's Agency was the most blue ocean. No one had run that offer ever, never, ever. I could not see it around the world. Like
the way you ran it back then, Cohen Handler.
No one had taught people online how to become a buyer's agent in the world that I did research. So it was like a very unique offer. So I thought I need to get on the phone and do sales calls to like understand what's going on, like objections and so I can then build the team. So Jack was one of the calls I did.
You sold him in?
Yeah, I sold him in. So I'm on the phone.
Fucking incredible.
And there's all this fucking noise. I'm like, mate, where are you? And he's, man, I'm fucking driving a truck. He worked in the mines in Newcastle.
He was in FIFO.
Yeah, he was driving this truck. He was so loud. I said, mate, I can't hear you. Like, so we ended up having a conversation. And I could tell very early that he was going to crush. I was just like, I could just tell. Like, I hadn't seen him.
What was it about him that made you feel that?
Number one, he said to me, he basically said, hey, listen, I'm going to buy this course now. Most people don't do this, but I'm going to buy this course now, and I can't start this for another 8 months. But I'm going to buy it now so I can actually get prepared so I can execute hard in 8 months. Most people on the sales call be like, I'll speak to you in 8 months.
Indecision, all of excuses.
Like excuses. He's like, no, I'm going to buy now and I'm going to get ready. Like getting ready to execute. Very few people I feel like do that.
From my experience, I find that there's two different types of people, right? There are the types of people that will find an excuse to do it.
Yeah.
And there are the type of people that will find an excuse not to do it.
Yeah.
Every motherfucker's got an excuse. It's the people that find the excuse to do it, to push past all the excuses not to do it, that end up changing their life.
Yeah.
And Jack seems to be that kind of person that you recognize had that kind of energy. I'm going to find an excuse why I'm going to do it. Even if circumstances right now are not fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm going to do it. Why I'm going to take action early.
Yeah, I just started to notice, like, again, I was working in the career space. Obviously, I'm in the career space with this offer, and I started to notice a pattern with like 50 phone calls. Everyone's like, postpone, because they're all working. Like, I'm working. Oh, I'll just do this. I'll come back to you later. He's like, no. I'm going to just work my ass off on this program for the next 8 months so I can just come out of the gate and run hard. I was like, and he was so young. He was like, I don't know, he could have been 21. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And then he had a portfolio, to answer your question as well. So he started investing early. He was very passionate about property. And I could tell with his personality over the phone that he was just going to be a larrikin and be funny and and have fun with
and
it.
have a red hot crack at it.
And he has. So he does. I mean, I sit on his board at the moment. Like, I don't know. Like, he's probably going to do 50 million. This. So like, this is someone who came through my program maybe not 5, like 7 years ago, but only started like operating like I think 5.5 or 6 years ago. And he's got a $50 million business. So he's just one example. I've got a lot of others who like. Not a lot. I've got quite a few who've built 8-figure businesses, like maybe like up to 10.
What separates them from those that don't?
I'd say it's a combination of execution and their willingness to win. Like when I said earlier to you, like, which is the truth, at Cohen Handler, you'd have had to run me over for the offer not to work, like literally kill me. For it not to work, you'd have to somehow kill me. These guys are the similar. Like they've got big dreams and you have to run them over for it not to work. And
there's no plan B.
There's no plan B. And so no plan B. So that's what differentiates like those 8 figures to the 7-figure founders. But then there's a lot of 7-figure founders that I've got heaps, like a lot. It's so getting back to the offer, like I'm a bit biased as well. Like I feel like there's a lot of bullshit online that people sell. Like because I came from like corporate, then I worked my ass off for 9 years and built a very successful company. Like I'd come in with credibility and I'd done the work. I'd been dragged through the flames and I'd done the work. I started to see online there's all this bullshit. People hadn't done the work.
What kind of bullshit are you referring to?
Everywhere online. Like people selling courses. I'd say 80% of them
without the run rate.
Weren't successful.
Without the run rate.
Yeah.
So personally, their experience would suggest that they haven't been through the fire, you're saying?
I would say from what I'd seen online, a lot of the people hadn't been, like whatever you want to define as successful, like they
hadn't done it.
Hadn't really built big shit.
Yeah. I find a lack of congruency. Absolutely, man. Like, dude, like even I think about the people that I invite onto the Freedom Formula. I mean, they've got to have a run rate. They've got to, in my mind, they've got to be the type of person that's actually done the thing, because everyone can talk. Talk is cheap, right? Everyone's got ideas. They're like assholes, I say, but it's like, it's the person that can execute an idea, see it through, create wins, create their own version of legacy. That is the type of people that we want to deal with, you know, and we want to talk to. And definitely in the online space, they're because of the opportunity, then there is that. It's really hard to differentiate between who, but personally for me, and I'd be keen to sort of how you look at it. Usually how I eventually learn about people is because it is, I mean, it's such a big world, but it's such a small world at the same time in terms of when you start to look at the digital space. So founders that have got offers, usually birds of a feather flock together. So people know people, and eventually you know who's the legit and the real deal versus who's not, and actually running an incredible operation, done the work, got the success stories on the back end, and the type of individual that they say they are. How have you identified those people? Like, how have you over time identified the who's who type thing?
I mean, number one, you got to be incredibly discerning, right? You're right. Like online, I've been fooled where you think someone, like I won't even mention a name. There was a guy in the US that I thought was the real deal. I paid like 40, 50 grand to be.
For a coaching offer?
Nah, yeah. For like to be in his mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just realized like, fuck, this guy's not it. Like just not what I thought he was. Like he'd done well, but like.
What was it about it that you felt disappointed by? Was there nothing on the back end?
I just felt like how he was coming across, there was a misalignment with how he was coming across online around who he was when I actually got into a room with him. And I just thought it was a bit of BS. And I was like, fuck, like, because I don't like that. And so I actually withdrew from it. But like, and so I got roped into that, which I felt like, but you just got to be very discerning. Like you've got to really do research. You've got to try and find, like I always try and find people in a circle now. So like if I like someone, like let's say I find someone online, it's called Jeremy Haynes. I want to know someone who's in his mastermind, or I want to know someone who has worked with him or done something. And so I will go and find someone and I will get feedback.
Get the feedback.
So that's a non-negotiable. And I think everyone should. But getting back to the scam, like the whole, I had a guy call me the other day. Don't know how he got my number. He's like, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing your program," and I don't speak to really anyone anymore.
How do you get your number? You don't know.
I was like, I was walking with the dogs and I didn't even ask the question. I was just like, "Hey," I thought I'd have a chat.
What kind of dogs you got, by the way?
I got a German Shepherd, a working dog, and a Groodle and a Cavoodle.
Yeah, well, broad range.
Broad range. And so he goes to me, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing your program. My wife thinks you're a scam, potentially a scam." And rather than getting on my back foot, I said, "Hey, that's fucking great." I said, like, the fact that your wife is curious and thinks that I've cut my hair, but this long-haired hippie could be a scam. I think that, I said, well done. I said, because you have to like do your due diligence. And I just said to him, "Hey, like, I don't want to make you feel comfortable and try and like tell you how good I am. Like, go do your research, call some of my students, go out there and get feedback."
Brilliant.
And because like, so, I think everyone is on their front foot thinking scam, and you got to do your research.
Yeah, and rightly so. I mean, when we're talking about the type of money that we're talking about investing into, coaches and masterminds, mentorships, offers, then it's a legitimate investment. I've made poor decisions as well over the time, and more now. I mean, I'm discerning. Like, I'll definitely go and speak to people that are actually in the thing.
Yeah,
try to get perspective. I think it's also something to touch on. It's important that we're also very clear when we go into something as to what our expectations are and be like what we're hoping to get back. And I'll explain why. Like, I went into a mastermind that was very reputable. However, I mean, it was a significant investment, just under 100K, right? I was initially a little bit confused about what I was trying to get out of it, but eventually became very clear when I got in there as what I was trying to get out. I had to reframe my perspective because most definitely when I got in, it was not what I had expected. So I misaligned my expectations to what it actually was. So that was kind of on me in the first instance. But I had a choice like you did at that point. And it's not that I didn't like the people involved. And it's just more so, well, what was I going to get out of it?
Yeah.
So I had to really quickly talk myself around as to, well, actually, what am I hoping to get out of this? And by doing so, I was able to get the most out of the experience because I was clear on establishing how do I determine the value, like what's in it for me. So I think that's important as a part of the process, being ultra clear on what your expectations are. And then, being sort of clear about sort of, well, what are you actually hoping to then get out of it? Like, what's the outcome? Because what I've learned is if you're going in for information, you're losing already. Like, you've got to go into anything for transformation. So like, let's say I came to you, I'd be very much like Jack in a sense. It's like, I don't necessarily want the information. I want to achieve the transformation. The information happens to be a part of it, but I want to implement quickly and get executing so I can learn through the war. I want to get the transformation. How do I get the business up and running, testing, get the sales team in place, that kind of stuff?
I think you raised some really good points, like big ones. Like number one, like the expectation. I think that when I signed up to this, I don't think I was very clear around my expectation. And so when I went there, it kind of added to my the layer of disappointment because I wasn't clear. So I think that's a really big one. I think like getting clarity around like, hey, I'm entering into this project, whatever you're doing, like what's the expected outcome? Number two is like, I love what you said about transformation. Information, not transformation. So every time I listen to a podcast or anything, anytime I like read a book, podcast, I have to take action from it. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah, I love that.
To get transformation.
I love that.
Because like I listen to the All In and all these jokes. Like it's an hour long. Like it's a fucking long time. An hour and a half. Like to me, like time is sacred. So if I'm going to spend an hour and a half into a podcast, like I've got to get some form of transformation. So an example, this is kind of not an extreme, but I was listening to Tim Ferriss and Hugh Jackman about 2 years ago. This is just one example. And I'd never heard Hugh Jackman be interviewed. Like I've obviously heard of Hugh Jackman, but I've never heard him
podcast
speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
And already at the beginning of the podcast, I was really blown away just by like, he kind of got on the podcast to Tim Ferriss and was like, hey, I'm paraphrasing. He's like, I'm really nervous to be here. Like, kind of was like, what have I got to say that people are going to like really care about? And it kind of that I took a note from that, and I was like, that just reinforces like someone who's on fucking stage all the time like that is nervous, and also doesn't always think that they're the best. So I was like, that was a nice insight. Took that away. Number 2 is he made a comment and said, hey, there's a coach that transformed my life, and said her name. And I was like, man, I need this coach, like transformation. So I went outbound to this coach. She coaches very high level people. Like she coaches CEO of Dropbox, big people. Ghosted me for like a year and a half. And then I finally got a hold of her, and then I ended up, we worked with each other for about a year. And so that's just an example of like, I'm trying to take action, listen to insights, and take action from things that I'm doing all the time to get that move from information to transformation.
Yeah. So many people go out seeking information. It's information seekers that stay stuck.
Yeah.
It's the thing I find most fascinating, right? It's the individual that will tell you, look, I'm just collecting some information. I just need some more information. No, you don't. No, you do not. You do not need information. What you need to fucking figure out is whether or not your fucking life is what you want it to be. And if it's not, then let's do something about it.
Oh, so
yeah. And I know that laughter, that joy I can see in you comes from all the battles you've probably had over the years, understanding people's pain and frustration, but they're so fucking stubborn, wanting more information. It is, and do you want to know one of the most easy objections that I've ever overcome? It's the person that says, I want information.
What do you say?
Well, you can have information, you can have transformation.
I'm going to use that. I fucking love it.
You could have information. You could continue to collect information, or we can get to work on the fucking transformation. Which one do you want?
I'm laughing so much because I think that I've heard that thousands of times, and you're so spot on. Like I just, and that way I asked you how to.
It goes to my personality though. Like it's like, well, you can either like do something about it, or you can not do something about it. I don't give a fuck. Like it's your life, but I'm here to help. If you want help, I'm going all in. I'm going to take you to the fucking like peak, right? I'm going with you. But if you don't want to go, stay at the bottom of the mountain, because I'm taking a whole bunch of other people with me. But we have to get moving because winter's fucking coming. You know the idea of winter's coming?
Yeah.
So the life, what people want is freedom, autonomy. And we talked about offline what the freedom formula represents, you know, the podcast, and why I started this journey purely because I know what it's like to be somewhat a prisoner, as I'm sure you would have experienced at some point in your life, like prisoner to time, like geographical location. I have to be at this point in time and so forth. And I was able to achieve freedom. So for me, the freedom formula is teaching people how to achieve the very thing that I see you living every single day, being able to walk your dogs, you're on the beach, you're living in a beautiful part of the world where, obviously you've got access to whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
Quick pause. If you're listening right now and you know you weren't built for an average income or a life stuck behind a desk, this is for you. We are hosting a 90-minute FDR masterclass live with me, where I break down exactly how to become a highly skilled finance development representative in the remote sales space. You'll see how top reps work US accounts close from home and position themselves to earn 6 figures remotely. Now, at the end of the masterclass, we'll invite attendees to apply to work with us directly. From there, we'll be selecting 30 people to move forward, where we'll provide elite training, hands-on support, and physical help to place you in roles on US accounts with a clear pathway to earn 6 figures while working from home. Now, this is not for everyone. It's for people who want freedom and are willing to do what it takes to actually earn it. Now, if that's you, I want you to comment in the comments freedom to register for the next masterclass, or head to the link in the bio right now. Okay, let's head back to the show. What do you feel holds people back then from being able to achieve that? Because the majority of society is stuck, right?
Yes. Fuck, it was good to laugh before. Thank you.
Oh, man, I'm glad I could be part of that.
Laughing yoga, mate, just free. It's so good.
I'm glad I could
It's so nice.
A big part of that.
So it's a mindset shift. Like I can only talk from my experience, right? I can't talk for other people. So I was running the service-based business for 9 years. And for me at that stage of my life, it was about busy. You'd ask me how I'm doing. You ran to me and double, but how you doing? I'm busy.
Yeah, it's such a status quo response. It's a badge of honor. We're taught that busy is the goal.
Is the
What's
goal.
actually not.
Oh man, yeah. So
I'm still learning that, to be honest, man.
Yeah, I'm still. It's an everyday practice. It's I'm not there yet, but even if it looks like it, I'm not. And so at that stage of my life, busy, wanted to be in the office, wanted to have meetings all day. When I started the Buyers Age Institute, it was a remote business. I had no meetings in my calendar. I was like fucking depressed for 12 months.
Yeah,
so I was like, where's all my meetings and my team? Like I was just, and so I think I had to bring awareness to myself around what a life could look like by not having meetings stacked all day and actually driving a very successful business by not having to grind so hard. This whole thing, I think to be good at anything in life, like to be a good soccer player, you have to work hard. Like, fuck, it's a given. Like to me, it's just like, you have to do that. But then it comes to a point of like, well, how hard do you have to work in order to get a result? Because in business, I feel like you can utilize leverage and you can, I think, get astronomical results without grinding all day. I've learned. Okay. So getting back to your question, I think you've got to make a mental decision that you want to live a different life and you want to operate in a different way and you want to get curious around what that could look like. And I think that that's where it starts. And so how would you do that? Like you'd meet entrepreneurs who've got a good lifestyle and you get curious. You'd ask them like, how are you doing this? You're in a service base, they're in a remote business. What's a remote business? You'd learn about that model, whole different offering. And you're like, well, maybe with my IP and the knowledge that I've got with what I'm doing, I could move somewhere else and I could package it up online and sell it. And so I think you've just got to start there.
I would say the proximity is one of the most powerful triggers for most people that are kind of stuck somewhat, right? So proximity meaning if you can get in a room with entrepreneurs that have already been through that process or that journey, have got the knowledge, have got the scars that they can teach you, well, then that's learning through direct contact. For so many people, I'll say can't yet have direct access to those people. So it's quite an easy solution, actually. You just get close to them through their podcasts, through the books that they've already written.
Yeah.
First, that would be the first two things I would think of, because you legitimately can like plug into someone's mind. Like if you wrote a book tomorrow on your journey on building your buyer's agency first, let's say that, like I could legitimately plug into your experience, your brain for the next, say, 5 hours of reading that book or 10 hours, whatever it takes, and take so much of that I can apply immediately.
Yeah.
There's literally no excuse today to being stuck.
Yeah.
I would say, and I'm curious to see how you feel about this. It's actually something I kind of half meditated on this morning. When I say meditate, I'm not sitting there maybe like you would yet. Hopefully one day I'll get there. But my version of meditation, like I guess I was walking. I was actually at the beach. I went for a dip. I did an hour walk this morning. Didn't do anything intense. But I was meditating about this. I don't know how it came up, but it just did, right? Which is, if you don't have something in your life, it's purely simply because you don't want it enough. I'll let that land. Because when someone says they want something, but then they follow that statement with another statement, which is, well, I can't, there's an incongruency. And the incongruency is true desire, because what you really want, you choose. And whatever you choose, you tolerate. Does that make sense? So like
100%.
When someone truly wants change, like let's say someone came to you and said, hey, Benny, mate, I really want to change my work. I fucking hate my life. I'm not earning enough. I hate my job. I'm curious about this buyer's agency gig. You know, I've seen what you've done with your community, your students, great businesses. Then you go, cool. It's a small 40K investment, whatever it is, right? And they're like, oh,
Small.
well, Benny, I can't. What do you want? Makes sense. And that's what I come back to. It's
What-
what do you want?
Well, let me just interrupt there quickly because I think you're spot on. Obviously, because I'm in business opportunity, career, that's what we deal with.
Yeah.
The person whose life sucks, they want the life, whatever that like Jack Henderson, they want the life.
Mhm.
But guess what? They're not willing to invest a bit of money or a bit of time to get it. Like that's the majority.
That's the majority.
We speak
Yeah.
to
I'm new to this space,
Yeah.
by the way, now.
Okay. Oh, you
As
are?
in, when I
Okay.
say new, I mean, I was in this space many years ago. I went into a health offer, which I'm still
Yeah.
running, a health company, but I'm new now. I've got another offer, which is in the similar space in terms of wealth creation. And it's interesting. So you're dealing with people that are legitimately saying, hey, like, I'm not where I want to be in life. I really fucking need to change. And there's some really strong, powerful reasons to change. But then the truth is where the rubber meets the road. It's when there's money involved.
Well, I think it's before the money because I think you've raised a good point, which is like you want change, but the question is, do you really want it?
Yeah.
Because you said you'll find a way. Like if you really, let me give you this
I
example.
love that.
So I think it's well below. They want the good. They want everything.
Mm.
Do you really want it? And I'll give you an example. So one of the clients that I've got that came through BAI, a customer was a guy called Goose McGrath from Dashdot.
Yeah. Well known.
Well-known,
Well
big
known.
company, like
Yeah.
8-figure
He's
company.
spoken about in such high regard too.
Yeah, he's just. So I was in Singapore. I was on the way to Singapore. I was at the airport. I remember another guy I spoke to in my first, I think, year.
Mhm.
Get on the phone, and he goes, "Mate, we're broke. Our business has just gone into liquidation." I'm paraphrasing, but like businesses, like we don't have the money. So again, but once change. He found the money. He borrowed it off his dad or did something. So, but he wanted the change, didn't have the funds, found the money, changed his life. And I found out because I interviewed him on a podcast after like maybe 2 years ago. He was living in Geelong in Victoria, not that I've been there. He was like ordering, like he was going into supermarkets during the day that had free food. Like, they give you the free snacks. He was eating that during the day and stuff. That's where he was up to.
Mm.
And it's interesting because you get these people who go, I want change. It's like, well, fucking make it work. Like, make it work. Like if you, as you said, if you want to make it work, you'll make it work. And he's just an example of someone who wanted the change that bad.
It makes me think of, most recently, I've kind of gone down this rabbit hole of studying the Stoics.
Yep.
And I'm in particular focusing on Ryan Holiday. I'm just going through not just his podcast, his Daily Stoic, but I'm also reading a lot of his books. And he's obviously referencing all the greats, the philosophers,
Yes.
right? Marcus Aurelius and all that cohort. And so much of, I guess, what you're confronted with when you listen to those humans from so many years ago is true that is so very relevant still today. And so much of what he teaches comes back down to almost like the reality of like, when you're confronted with something like change, for example, what is it that you actually, like when we come up against like an obstacle, you're either going to find a way because it matters or you're not.
Mm.
Like I love sort of what they teach because there's just so much black and white. And one thing in particular that I read recently that's really resonating, again, the kind of concept of meditating, is get active in your own rescue.
Yep.
We have this thing in modern day where we kind of feel like someone owes us something.
Yep.
Whether it be the government, our parents, maybe even a course creator, for example, just purely on the basis that I've given you money that I deserve to succeed. What people fail to understand is A, no one's coming to save you. B, no one truly gives a fuck as much as you do about yourself.
That's right.
Because they shouldn't. And what Marcus Aurelius teaches that I've really grabbed onto, this one statement, is get active in your own rescue. And I hear about people that are struggling, right? And it's not that I don't have empathy. It's the very opposite. I do have empathy. I appreciate the challenge. I appreciate how hard it is to be in that small thinking inside of that little box that was created for you and having to sort of break out of it, right? And how difficult that is, because it is the mindset. When I asked you a little earlier, what's that thing, like, and you mentioned mindset. I know it sounds so cliche, and someone listening to this would probably go, yeah, I hear this all the time, but motherfucker, if you hear that all the time, it's because it actually is the thing that is the foundation to everything, right? It's your perspective. It's the filter by which you see the world, the things in front of you. You live a very different life to what you used to. Give us a bit of insight into what your day-to-day kind of looks like now, and
Yeah.
how are you experiencing the world now as in a different way to what you used to?
One of the most valuable skills I've learned for me that I've cultivated is developing the skill to be disliked.
That's a tough one, man.
Because it's the only way to free yourself from the prison of other people's
Do you get hate
opinions.
on your posts and stuff?
I run a lot of paid media, so yeah, I always get trolled. And I find that.
How do you respond to them?
I don't look at it anymore. So like I'm just not, but like the first few years was very challenging because when I sold Cohen Handler, I wasn't on social media. I had a deactivated Facebook account for 7 years. I wasn't on Facebook. I wasn't on Instagram. So when I started running paid traffic, I was getting roasted. I was just like, I took it really personally. And it took me a few years to like,
To settle into it?
now I love it. I had a guy the other day. I'm on Instagram sometimes, and I had a guy that he was like, this was yesterday. He goes, dude, because I obviously when people wrote like I see it, and he said, dude, if you got so much money, why don't you get a haircut? And then I took a photo. And I said, brother, I literally got one about 2 weeks ago, and I said it was free. Check out the new hair. And so like, I just have a bit of fun with it now. And then I get some people who when I had long hair would like roast me, and I'd look at them and they'd be bald. And I said, bro, you don't fucking have hair. I'll cut some off, give me a postal address, and I'll send it to you. Like public. And so like, I have a bit of fun with it sometimes.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it. Like I think ultimately what I realize is that a lot of people are suffering, or everyone's suffering, and they're going through a journey, and it's just like, it's their outlet. And so I also I respect that space. But getting back to your original question, like, I think like the transition for me has been around just becoming the most authentic version of myself. Just being able to like land in a place where I'm super comfortable with what I do and how I live, and just not giving a fuck what people think. So like, like I never wear shoes. Ever.
Clearly,
like, very rarely.
If they could
do I
see
wear,
you in the studio, you're here barefoot with painted blue toenails.
I forget my shoes when I go to the airport very regularly, and I have to buy them. And so, but that's because I just really enjoy not wearing shoes. And I never realized that when I was living in Sydney. Like I realized how uncomfortable I was. And so just starting to work out like what I like and what I dislike. And so I think it's just been a bit of a process I've had to walk through to work out like, who am I? Because like, I feel like as you grow up, again, speaking to myself, like I think as kids, you're stripped away from your authenticity. Like your parents are projecting, this is how I grew up and this is my way, or whoever you're getting raised by, right? And I think you lose a bit of your identity. And so I think we have to reclaim it. And I think it's a process as well, because you've been stripped for so long, and so I've been going through that journey in the last probably 4 or 5 years.
How important is sales and sales training in the role of your students coming through being accredited for
what I do?
Buyer's agency, yeah.
So sales is everything. Sales and marketing is everything. And so the reason I think my students are so successful, obviously they're brilliant. They're really good.
How big is your community at this point?
About 5,500.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. Well done.
They're really good. So I don't want to take credit from them, but I used to get a lot of shit when I started the program, because all these people in the industry, these dinosaurs, were like, you're not teaching people like in detail how to buy property. And I said, well, when I was a Cohen Handler, very rarely did my buyer's agents walk in the door, even though I sat in an open plan office with everyone together. But very rarely they come to my desk and like, hey, Ben, I can't buy a property. Can you? No, I want more clients. Fill up my fucking pipeline. I want more clients. I want to make more money, like more clients. And so I looked at all the problems that I faced at Cohen Handler, and it was all sales and marketing problems.
Getting leads, converting leads.
That's it.
Fulfillment was easy.
Yeah, that wasn't the problem. Like fulfillment.
It wasn't the bottleneck.
So you could come to me and say, Ben, I own 20 properties and I'm the best researcher. I said, brother, if you can't fucking get clients, you got no buyer's agent business. I don't care how many properties you own, how good you are at researching. I don't give a shit. Like if you can't acquire customers and convert them like properly and market effectively to have consistency with your pipeline, you're gone. And so getting back to your question, the program was very focused around sales because I sucked at sales, like I told you, but I worked my ass off to become extraordinary. Like I got trained by the greatest. I went all around the world. I've done a lot of the trainings. I spent a lot of time training because I was so bad.
Who were some of those early influences?
There was a guy called Phil Lee who did a system called Sandler. Like Sandler was like a B2B sales training in the US. That was probably like the first entry point for me, like learning. It's very tech focused, but like B2B. But it just taught me a lot around not over promising, leading in with a lot of questions, like diagnosing,
Framing?
Just diagnosing, like not coming in there just thinking I can solve for you, pushing away a bit, like, and just like leaning in and getting very curious. Like, I think that was pivotal. And I've done a lot of the other trainings, but I think that I spent a lot of time on sales. I've invested a lot of money on sales training and time because I see how valuable of a skill it is. Like, I think sales is the most critical. Like, I think it's everything.
Any business owner would agree. Getting leads is somewhat easy. Getting leads and marketing is probably easy. And I know there's caveats to that, right? There's good leads and there's better leads and there's great leads. I do believe that for most, the bottleneck is then the actual conversion, because there's conversions and there's conversions, right? I mean, you don't build 5,500 communities strong if the sale wasn't strong.
Exactly.
If the sale was done in a way that wasn't congruent, if it wasn't done in a way that actually nurtured the relationship, they're not going to keep buying from you again and again.
That's right.
So obviously there's some really good stuff in your sales process because A, you're getting the right people, you're repelling the wrong people, you're getting the right people through the door, which is setting them up for success. And then, of course, you continue to sell as you continue to go through because you've got to continue to sell conviction all the way. Yeah. What were some other influences then in your journey from a sales perspective?
I learned sales through, it's multifaceted. So I don't expect to go to a sales trainer to learn sales at all. I'll give you an example. Like some of we deal with very high net worth clients at some stage at Cohen Handler. Some of them would come to a meeting and the way they listen, the way they're present, like fully present in them. They're no phone, they're not fucking agitating, they're listening to you. And then some of them ask a few questions, but they're so profound. Like that to me is selling. Like that to me is my lesson. Like I like that is a classroom lesson for me. Just like that experience. Like, and so I'm just looking at people that I'm meeting all the time and seeing what's their tonality, what's their body language, how curious are they, what's the quality of their questions, what's their follow-up like. People that hit me up on Instagram to work on my sales team, like what's their follow-up like? Like I'm learning how they DMing me. Like, am I engaging? Some of them are doing voice notes. Then they're doing texting. Then they're getting me on LinkedIn. Then they're emailing me. And okay, interesting. I like that diverse follow-up system.
Persistence.
Yeah, persistence. But also like they're not smashing me just on Instagram. They're going to other platforms to get me, which is and so like I guess what I'm saying is like I like learning from like a wide variety
from the experience
of people.
From the experience, basically, you're observing human behavior, you're watching their mannerisms and all of the things that are going on.
Correct. And let me finalize that. So rather than just paying a sales trainer, like rather than me going, hey, I'm just going to pay whoever it is right now to learn sales, because I'm still learning. Like next month, we're going to the Maldives. We're going to the one and only. That is the best customer service I've ever had in my life. Like it's the best.
A hotel? Do you mean?
Yeah, it's like a resort. Like your hotel. It's the best. Like it's the best customer service. Like you've got all the Saudis going there. It's like $5-6 a night. But like to have an experience like that, I learned from that. So like I'll invest in that experience because I'll be like, it's teaching me again how to serve the customer, how they get like 95% of their customers are coming back again. Like we've been back there before, we're coming back again. Like, so I'll invest in those experiences as well. Like I'm not just going to the sales trainer to learn about sales. I think that's very narrow-minded.
Yeah, I love the idea of that because we can learn from so many different experiences. I think there's a lot of lessons. And even when you mentioned, for example, observing a certain type of professional even in a different environment, which isn't directly like a sale, but you're watching how they're curious, asking the right questions, how well they're listening intentfully, like intentionally listening, actively listening, the type of follow-up questions and how they're extracting information from you. That can teach you so much.
Oh yeah.
It can teach you so much. I think about one of the best sales experiences I ever had. I'll think about two, and I'd love for you to sort of think about this and then back end and what you sort of take from this. It's interesting that both so happen to be in the health space. So the first one was I needed Invisalign.
Yep.
And I went to a dentist. Now, that process was extremely good for one reason only, because first they started asking questions. So what makes you think like you need Invisalign? So what's prompted, what's behind this kind of thing? They just understood a little bit about my desire. Okay, well, let's have a look. They didn't sell the product at that point. So what they did was they scanned my face. They used obviously the technology to scan the face, and then they sat me down. And this is what you would in a sales process describe as a dramatic presentation, right? The dramatic presentation is showing you rather than telling you. So what they did was then on the screen, they showed the skeleton and my face, and they did it before. This is where you are right now. And they showed all the imperfections. So it was really diagnostic, saying, well, this is where it's at. In fact, you may not have been aware, but this is where the issues lie at the moment with the bite and the way the teeth are. But this was the critical thing they did, right? Now, I knew what they were doing, but I'm just observing. And I was in awe, thinking, wow, these guys have got it nailed. The next thing they did is they hit me with a narrative called The Winter is Coming. So there's 3 parts to this, right? The winter's coming is what the human needs to understand to put them in a position of urgency to make change. So it's like running out of the burning house. So they described then what would happen if I continued down this path. The next thing they then showed me was the after, which is the next part of the formula called what's in it for me. Because despite that we run from a burning house, humans love to run towards a candy store. And that's where we get a dopamine release. And so then they showed me what's in it for me. So should you make some changes, this is what it ends up with, but then this is what it means for you. And there was both like an aesthetic perspective and also a medical perspective. And then the last but not least is why us, the third part of the pillar. And they actually did it. I bought, right? Next thing that I think of was let's say 2 years later, I was having persistent issues in my feet, and I went to a podiatrist. Now, just 2 weeks, I've got to pre-frame this. Just 2 weeks earlier, I was at a physiotherapist having this issue with my calf because I was training for a high rocks. I don't know if you know the event. And I just couldn't get through this bloody thing, kept getting injured. So I went to this physio. And
you needed peptides, bro.
Probably did. I'll probably get some. You got some?
I do.
I'm probably sure you do. And so the 2 weeks earlier, this physio sells me this $70 like insert into my shoe.
Yeah.
It's obviously not going to fix the problem. So they're purely thinking about the first sale and kind of very low level sales process, right? 2 weeks later, I go to this podiatrist, and guess what he does? Everything that sales process did
Invisalign.
with the Invisalign. So first thing, understand a little bit about the situation, right? Very, very good line of questioning. Next thing they did, this complete diagnostic, and he drew up the now. He had photos. He put it on a computer. He drew up my angles of my feet. Guess what he hit me with next? Take a wild guess. The winter. The winter is coming.
Yeah. What it could look like if you don't take action.
Yeah. So he hit me with the winter is coming. The next thing it did is what's in it for me. In other words, should you get corrective action, less injuries, be able to do, and he then touched on all the things that are important to me, which is the dopamine release. Last but not least, why us? The product, the thing. Does that make sense? And so I bought. So one scenario I was sold. Yeah, it was. Mate, I actually love it because if you love sales, which I gather you do, like you just love the idea of helping someone get change, right? I was in awe of it. I was just like, and I actually said to him, I said, mate, this is next level. And as I handed him $8,000, right? So this other physiotherapist 2 weeks earlier sold me a $70 pair. And in that moment, I actually thought it was expensive. I'm like, fucking $70 for this shit insert. Like 2 weeks later, next minute, I'm handing over $8,000. So sales, right? So
mate, they're brilliant examples of like you you admired the sales process of what they were doing. And getting back to your question, like I think a lot of these people in sales, like you and I love sales clearly. We expect to like engage trainers and all the no. There's so much going on. Like I used to like companies that I heard were good at sales. Like I'd call them up and I'd go through their funnel or go through their process so I could learn. I want to speak to their reps. I want to see their follow up. So like there's so much you can do to learn about sales, which doesn't involve like engaging a sales trainer. Like there's so much.
With a lot of what's going on in Australia, I'm curious just to get your thoughts on it quickly with the economy and the current government with policy changing a lot of the opportunity, let's call it, with capital gains and all these kinds of things. What are you seeing, if anything, in the property space that would relate to a buyer's agent and B, then the end consumer? Like, is there anything that you've got, any thoughts about that on the horizon or anything in particular that you feel is going to improve or take away from the property space?
Yeah, I'm not political. I don't look at policy and all that stuff. But what I'll say is that when COVID was going on and rates went up, I think 13 times over 2 years. I think it was like 8 times the first year. I think it was like in 21 or 22 and then like 5 times the year. I forget which years it was. I actually thought buyer's agents are fucked. Like just because rates have gone up like 13 times, who's going to use a buyer's agent? Especially a lot of the investor buyer's agents like Dashdot, where they're buying stuff for $700,000. Like, who are these people that are going to pay for a buyer's agent? So, getting back to the question is, when I saw that transpire, buyer's agents were the busiest I've ever seen in my whole career during COVID. When rates were at the high, when were 6%. The busiest I've ever seen them ever in my life.
What do you feel that would be?
I don't know. I thought it was going to be the opposite. I actually don't know. I thought like, why are people going to engage buyer's agents when rates are climbing up so much? So I think that was a shift for me where I feel like unless rates go something stupid like 10% plus whatever, I feel like the property market is stronger than ever. I feel like buyer's agents are in the best position right now. They're so busy still with rates at like, they're still 6 high fives. Like they're still so busy. And so unless rates start climbing astronomically high, like I don't see there being a shift in like what's going on right now, which is it's thriving. Like I just don't see any change.
If you were starting from scratch, right, and perhaps were somehow still be able to maintain all your current knowledge, right, all your IP, you were starting from scratch a bit and you weren't, this was a game, right? And you weren't allowed to go into the property space, but you could do anything online, like a niche or a different offer. What would maybe be one of, or 2 or 3 of the niches that you would consider?
Interesting. I've been thinking about this the last few days, the last week.
Here I am challenging you, drawing up the ideas. Because mine's like yours, inevitably start to look at different verticals.
Definitely.
And I would imagine that the way I understand in the short period I've had the privilege of knowing you, I can see your brain is incredibly good at picking up on opportunity. I mean, you were in the US, doing what you were doing and you noticed an opportunity, then it happened again later on. And then you're here in Australia doing things and you're observing people constantly. You seem to be incredibly good at that. So obviously you've got some things that even if it's not necessarily on a conscious level, on a subconscious level that you're noticing. Yeah. What would be 1 or 2 of those opportunities?
I've thought of one. So, because I've been thinking about it. One of the areas I identified, which is totally undernourished, is in the creator influencer space. So
creative influencer?
Creator influencers.
Creator
influencers. It's like, these guys on Instagram, girls and guys who are on Instagram, they got 600K following. They're incredible, some of them are very good looking or some of them aren't, but whatever the go is, they're just got great engagement with their audience. A lot of them are broke. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, like I didn't know that. Because I'm not on social media as much as people think, but like I just assumed they were successful.
Mm. Well, yeah, followers aren't necessarily monetized, are they? Unless you've got a very specific strategy.
Correct. Some of them do very well. A lot of them don't. And
the majority
don't. Because they're not business people. They don't know how to sell. They don't know how to market. They don't know how to run ops. Like they don't know how to build teams. Like they don't know. And so getting back to the question, I was thinking about, because I've ran education, online education, especially BizOp, like teaching people about building careers, I was looking to the creator influencer space. I've been thinking about it where I start a business that handpicks certain creators, influencers, just people who've got good audiences, and they might even be selling something. For example, like that might be part of, they actually might be selling something, but they just can't break through. Like they're maybe at a ceiling of 100K a month or whatever they're at. I was thinking about, I think a good business opportunity is basically helping that creator become a founder, and basically bringing in everything, like bringing in fractional CRO, bringing in marketing, bringing in sales,
Almost like a publishing model.
like a publishing model, like a publishing model for sure. But the difference between the publishing model to a degree is the publishing model, I feel like they rely on their distribution. They're like, I've got a database of $100,000 in the property space. I'm going to find property people who I can promote their product to my list and then also run ads. But if you find the right online people, like influencers, they've got maybe 3 million followers. They've got more than your database. And they're going to keep growing it. And so then they've actually got the distribution, which the publishing model is always hanging on to. So I'm thinking about supporting those people grow wildly successful businesses and bringing their offers to market.
Let's say someone's earning under $150,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right. And they were being told to invest into something. What would be that thing that you would tell them to invest into?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Why Bitcoin?
I just regret not getting into it earlier. Like
Yeah,
it's down now and everyone's fucking complaining.
I had my Uber driver cracking on the way here.
Yeah. I mean, it's subjective, right? So like, I think you got to do, you have to do your research. I was like, because I've grown up with real estate, or real estate's always been this asset class that I'm just like, bow down to.
It just makes sense.
Stupid. Yeah. And so I was on a trip about a year and a half ago, whale watching with a group of people, like friends.
Where was that?
In Harvey Bay.
Beautiful.
5 days. I was with a group of like 6 of us, and 2 of the guys on there, very deep in Bitcoin. Like, and so I was exposed to their conversations for 5 days because on a boat with them, stuck. And then I thought, why haven't I even spent time in like researching Bitcoin? Like, because if you ask that question you just asked me and you put that into Grok, into Claude, into ChatGPT, it would all, and you said, what asset classes, if I want to get it'd say Bitcoin. And I think that if you just historically look at Bitcoin, what it's done, and you can ride the volatility and you can accept being in a high risk asset class, I think it's going to deliver the best return on investment. Part of it's intuitive, but obviously looking historically as well at the data, I just think it's, for long term, it's the best asset class. So I'm not buying real estate anymore. I'm all in on Bitcoin.
One other thing I would, I suppose, say to that as a caveat is, if you're probably earning under 150K, that the first investment also needs to be in you.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would say that, I was just thinking about what you said, because personal development.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
because I would think that from my perspective, like I am very keen and very bullish on Bitcoin long term and what I believe where I'd put my money, but I also know my journey. And if someone's interested in investing, the limiting factor, the bottleneck, is going to be their access to money. So the first thing they need to upgrade, in fact, is their skill set, is their proximity, is their friend circle. Just offline, before we got on camera, we talked about something I think we have to touch on. I think it'd be criminal not to. You talked about your environment. How important is your environment in the, let's call it the puzzle of success and freedom?
Well, it's relevant for me. Like, I was in Sydney, I've moved to Byron. And so for someone, getting back to your earlier point around like proximity is power and being around the right circle, like you probably wouldn't move to Byron because like it's not like Sydney or Melbourne or the Gold Coast where it's pumping and you're running through. Like, you've got to find people. Like, a lot of entrepreneurs, very successful, like they're not just hanging out on the street.
They're hidden away, I would imagine.
Yeah, you don't know if someone's worth 500 million or $1. Like, you just don't know, and so it's not very easy. So you don't move to Byron, I think, to like, unless you're a strong creative. You don't move there for that reason. I felt like I was ready to move there with where I was at in my life, and so it wasn't until I got out of Sydney and moved there that I realized how important environment is. Like, so I surf a lot. Um, I like to be in nature. We're in the hinterland, so it's very quiet. We don't have neighbors. Like, it's,
So you're a little bit off the water.
yeah, we're like 10 minutes from, probably from, let's say, like the beach. But I think that you don't realize until you change. Like, when, you go to Byron Bay for a holiday, or you go somewhere, like you were talking about, you went to Sorrento earlier, like you go to a holiday, you feel different. You're like, oh my God, like you're like, fuck, like you're out of where you're the ordinary, and you're into something different. And I think that, you need to try and find your right. And like, I think like, it's so easy to get caught up where you live because your kids go to school, you were born there, or you've been there for 10 years and it's great. The question is, well, like, is it the right environment for you? And I think you've got to like go out and try and look and seek, and to see like where could be the best environment for you to thrive creatively, etc.
Yeah, because so you draw energy from people and also from the environment you're in. How would you then define what it is that you stand for?
Transparency. Transparency, connection, authenticity.
Just maybe elaborate on those for me.
I think transparency is all about communication. I think most things in life break down. Partners, like love partners, professional partners, colleagues, friends, breaks down with shit communication, not being clear, like not being crystal clear about what you want or what you expect. I think most things break down with very poor communication. So I think if you improve communication through openness and transparency around how you feel, it solves a lot of problems, for number one. Connection, I think it's important for me. I've got very small circle. I don't like big circle. Like, I like to have very close circle of friends that I can be real with, that I can get in the mud with, that I can learn from. So I think strong, good connection with the right people, especially with my partner, like, is big, right? And then authenticity is just being your fucking self. Giving yourself permission to be who you are. I think it's very challenging. We're all wearing masks. Like, you walk in corporate with your tie, you got this fucking mask on, this. To like strip it all off and just be you, I don't think it's easy. And so I like those three.
I love that. How would you define then what it is that you fight against?
Being normal.
How so?
I don't like being normal.
What's normal?
Like, normal is just like, for example, most people who drink coffee haven't done any research to realize, like, it's a very sprayed pesticide. I used to drink coffee, and I sometimes still do. I had a coffee on the weekend. Like, being normal is you just follow the program of like, oh, coffee's available everywhere. It's good. It's great. It smells great. I'll just drink it. And being different, like being not normal, is like, hey, is coffee actually like, what is like what's about coffee? Like doing some research and looking into it and really understanding it. Like alcohol. Like, I haven't drunk alcohol for 13 years. Like, it's quite normal in Australia as a male to drink alcohol. It's what you do. You have a few beers. And then I started to think, fuck alcohol. It's shit. I eat like shit. I sleep like shit. I used to do drugs when I used to take it. It's fucking shit. Like, it's got no net positive for me in my life. So I think that by not being normal, you question things more. You become more curious.
I love that. You're definitely what I would describe as an incredible energy, and like getting like close and sort of seeing what you're about and how your brain operates. Clearly you're a goat in the industry, like in the digital space. Like, what you've done is incredible. The impact you're creating with your community, I think is so powerful, because what we have to take a moment to pause on, even just to celebrate your success, I think is super important, because I imagine people don't do this enough to actually give people credit. I think about your journey, what you did in your first business, second, what you did in your second business, the community you've created, and it's the impact that has. There's 5,000 plus people that have been through the program. Every one of those has been able to change their life. Every one of those goes on to impact countless families because they're able to help invest more and more. And my friend, that's because of you. So I think you need to, for a moment, even just take stock and give yourself a pat on the back. That's incredible. It's been such a pleasure having you on the Freedom Formula. It's even just sort of getting to understand a bit about how your brain ticks. I'm going to take so much value myself from this. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.